We are going to get started. So, tonight we are talking about stop treating the symptoms and start solving the code. The cause, sorry. So, let me tell you, I will tell you something right away. Is that most people try to fix pain where they feel it. And pain is almost never the real problem. And this is what tonight I will try to help you understand with this presentation. So I hope the sound is loud and clear. It's perfect. Put in the comments if you cannot hear me, then I will change something. Or if you cannot hear me properly, or if you can hear me, put a thumb up. That's also good. So today I want you to leave having an understanding of, first, why is it important to look at the body as a whole? Second, I would like to teach you about something very extremely important and yet most of the time forgotten part of the body, which no one talks about. Then I want to talk about why common recovery practices do not really help. And finally, what action can you take today to start working on yourself? So let's dive right in. So to make this clearer, I will show you how most people approach pain. Nowadays world, in the healthcare industry that I live in Holland, maybe it's the same in the country you live in, it's all about zooming in and looking at the body in a very segmented way. And what I see is that zooming in here on the left side, you see it's a shoulder pain is most of the time we stick where the symptoms are, where the pain is. And the way I look at it, the way I believe the pain should be looked at is with the whole system in order to look for the cause. In this drawing right there, you can see that this person is not clearly not in a good position, in a good state. And that is why, if you would be just looking at the shoulder, nothing would happen. This, I've learned it the hard way in my own body. And this is why I want to show you a little bit of my journey. I'm not going to be talking about me too much, but I want to tell you a bit more how I got into that. On the left side, this was me with the circle here and the shoulder, the uneven shoulders. This was me about 8 years ago. Shoulder pain, left shoulder pain, right neck pain always, right lower back. And as you can see, my shoulders are not really properly stacked up on the thoracic cage. You can see on my lower back, you see some creases that the lower back is not toned. And nowadays, well, I've been working on my body. So now the shoulders, I have much more control on my shoulders, and my lower back pain it's almost gone. So, and this has been from looking in the body as a segmented way to taking the time to zoom out and start diving into the mechanic and looking at the body as a whole system and not just as a segmented pieces. Okay. To understand what was really happening, I had to learn how the body actually works. This was the whole process. This is what I want to talk to you about right now. Okay. Like I just said, the body works as one connected system. This is what you can see on the left. Imagine a web. Everything is connected. You move one, the rest moves. Okay. And this is on the right side. This is what we see nowadays. This is the issue that we see nowadays. We all have things in life, physical challenges. It could be an accident. It could be physical trauma, emotional trauma. Emotions plays a big impact on the body as well. And that has an impact on our body. What the body does is the body will always look for stability. So if something happens, a pain comes up or restriction happens, or you try to hide yourself, the body will start compensating. Keep in mind that the body will always take you from point A to point B, no matter what. So it will always make sure that the pain is not too high, and it will make sure you can go to point B. All right. And this at the end leads to a lot of compensation and sometimes pain that are just popping up that are due to a whole structure compensation. Okay. So if everything is connected, you will tell me, but what actually connects it all? So that's a good question. I'm asking a question myself, and this is what I want to talk to you about right now. What connects it all is the fascia, the body internal web. I will talk a bit more about it. But think about it as a spider web that runs through the entire body. Goes from the skin right there down to the bone. It's not even possible to remove. There's no layer surrounding the bone. It goes within the bone. And to give you a bit of an insight, the fascia represents around 20 to 30% of the entire body mass. 43% is the amount of muscle mass in average. So, needless to say, that when something represents 20 to 30% of body mass running through the entire body as a connected system, you should not ignore it. And this is what I'm here tonight to explain you more about fascia. And I'm not going to go too much into detail to lose you. I will make sure that I will speak clearly and very easily for you to understand. Now, let me show you what fascia actually is so it becomes clearer for you without, again, losing you and going into much details. Okay? Fascia is a connective tissue that goes around your skin, your bone. This I told you already. Fascia covers everything in your body. Literally everything from the top of my skull to my feet. And you will understand afterwards. I'm going to show you some pictures and explain you some cases with clients for you to understand better. It wraps every single muscle and organs, muscle, ligaments, nerve. It is everywhere. And it is like I just said, a continuous web that connects my foot to my head. Okay. There are two things about fascia that most people don't know and that I want to tell you about. And I think this will completely change the way you think about pain. So let's have a look at that. Fascia gives the structure. That means right now, if I'm standing, now I'm not saying I'm sitting, but if you're standing or if you're sitting, the fascia is actually holding you straight. It's not your skeleton, not your muscle, it's the fascia, this whole web that is just organizing itself to hold you straight or hold you sitting. So it's not just your bone or skeleton. I did a presentation a few months ago, and some people tend to think that the skeleton is holding. No, your skeleton is floating within the fascia. Okay? Then, fascia transmit force. Everything affect everything. Meaning that it gives the signal to the muscle to actually move the body, the whole body into movement. Now, this is what the fascia does. So that means that if I'm moving my arm up, there's a connection that happening from the arm to the shoulder and on my side as well to make me side and move my arm up. It's like an orchestra playing together. And you want to make sure that the orchestra is well accorded and is sounding clear. Okay? So one of the most important parts as well I want you to know tonight is that fascia needs to stay hydrated and elastic. It has an elastic propriety, okay? And when it's not hydrated and when it's not working properly, this is when problems start to appear, okay? I keep the smile on, right? I have to keep the smile on. So when fascia becomes stiff. On the left side, this is a hydrated fascia, okay? Elastic, fluid, that works properly. And on the right side is the dehydrated fascia, thick and rubbery. For example, a lot of people have that. If you touch your neck, usually it's the neck, it's going to feel tight, it's going to feel like thick, maybe leathery. That's most likely it is a bit dehydrated and not and probably overworking as well, but we'll come to that afterwards. So imagine a sponge. Left side, the sponge is completely hydrated. Okay. What do you do? Now think about it. What do you do when you need to use a sponge and this sponge is completely dry? You open a tap, you put the sponge underneath the tap, and you start squeezing in and out to rehydrate the sponge, because a dry sponge cannot really move much, cannot do much with that. It's the same with the fascia. So you put it under water, you squeeze in and out to rehydrate it. Now you're going to tell me, okay, but my body is not a sponge. No, it's true. And I will explain you how to rehydrate your fascia. So what are the things, the crucial things to do for that? Okay. Now, let me ask you something. I've done a question. I asked a questionnaire on LinkedIn and also on Instagram. I asked people, what do you do usually when pain starts coming up? Think about it. You can put a comment. You can put what you do in a comment if you want to. I would love to see what you do. But usually, there are a couple of things that people do when the fascia is dehydrated. So again, tension increases, pain starts appearing. What do you do when this happens? Well, most of the time, there are two things that people do. This is what I've extracted from the answers I've got. Is either I rest, hoping for the rest that tomorrow the pain is gone, or I'm gonna try to stretch it out. Yeah, that feels good. Hoping that what I'm doing right now that feels good, that sticks around tomorrow or the day after. So now, let me explain you why passive stretching with a fascia perspective doesn't really solve your problem and can sometimes be counterproductive. So, first, what is passive stretching? So, passive stretching is an external force pushing on your body in order to go into a certain range of motion. On the left side, you see this lady. She's using gravity to open the hip and get the knee in front of her. On the right side, this gentleman is using his own arm to pull the shoulder into a certain area in order to fill the opening, in order to fill the stretch on the shoulder. Now, the thing that you need to know is that this is not optimal. When the fascia is dehydrated or there's some sort of like trigger points or dehydration around the tissue, you're not stretching the tissue itself. What is happening is that you're stretching the connective tissue. And the connective tissue is the connective tissue that you have around the joint. When, for example, my arm is like there's a lot of tension on my arm, and I try to pull this arm up in order to stretch it out. If this whole tissue is dehydrated, this is not going to lengthen. What's going to lengthen is all the ligaments and the connective tissue around the joint. And usually what that does is that it creates instability around the joint and pain in maybe 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 days or maybe a day afterwards. So you're not really doing any good. On the moment it feels good, but in the long run, it doesn't really help you. Okay? So now let me actually explain you a bit more what happened when you stretch passively compared when you stretch actively, because now you probably don't understand, okay, what is the difference between passive stretching and active stretching? This is what I will try to explain you now. Let me go into the next slide. Yes. So passive stretching versus active stretching. On the left side, it's me. I'm trying to stretch my hip flexors, my iliopsoas, the good old psoas. Okay. What I'm doing now is I'm just kneeling with my knee down and I'm pushing my right hip forward to get the stretch at the front. This again, I'm using an external force in order to go into a certain range of motion to open the front of my hip. My glutes here is completely switched off because the glute, your butt, is the opposite muscle that is going to push the opening at the front of the hip. On this side here, it's me using a movement. So now I'm stepping with my left and swinging the arm up, meaning that this back here is completely switched on. That my glute is switched on, my whole foot to calf to hamstring, glute, and back is switched on in order to open the front line here. And this is the difference between passive stretching and active stretching. Your brain needs to create the movement. In other way, that when you are going into passive stretching, if I'm doing right now, this is switched off, is not switched on. So your brain is not creating the movement, you are creating with external forces. So that means there's no connection and there's no proper movement of the entire body moving to get into a certain position. And this is why passive stretching usually never really lasts. So I hope this was a bit clearer for you to understand the passive between passive and active stretching. What I teach with my clients is everything is on active stretching. And you will see that sometimes when you go active compared to passive, you cannot really reach certain range. If I'm pulling, I can get my elbow here, but if I do it naturally, this is the maximum I can go. I cannot go any further. So let's keep going. Now, let me show you now a bit more about one case that I have that I worked on, so you can start connecting the dots a bit more. Okay. So this is a real case example, a problem that I had with my client of mine. So she didn't want to be on the presentation, which I understand. It's fair enough. So I put this drawing here. My client had constant neck and shoulder pain. Neck pain, shoulder pain. She could really barely lift the arms. It was tense around the rhomboids at the back. It was very, very painful. And she was drained all the time. Rib cage, very tight. Difficulty to breathe, difficulty to move on the sides, and of course, unstable hips, especially the right hip. So we started working together using myofascial releases, analyzing the posture, analyzing how she was moving. And then suddenly we did one movement after working a few weeks together. And at this moment, she really clicked. And to understand a bit more why she clicked, I will show you now to show you what happened in this whole process we went with my clients. This is the movement that we did with my clients. Okay, I asked her to push up this way in order to reopen the lateral line. Now you're going to be looking at me and say, James, what is a lateral line? I explain you about fascia. Okay, imagine this is a fascia chain, okay, running from your foot up to your leg, to your rib cage, and to your neck, inserting right here. If you look at me now, I'm turning the head. This muscle here is this bad boy right here, okay? It runs through the entire body. This is one line, okay? It's like a highway that connects distant parts, so the foot up to the head. So these clients, while doing this movement, she realized, wow, James, I feel an opening on my rib cage, but I also feel it's a weird sensation around my hips as well and my thighs. And then I tell her, this is because your lateral line has been compromised. You're leaning too much on the right for so long that this whole right side of yours is shortened and it needs to be open a bit more. So this is why it's important to be able to release your thigh, your leg, in order to be able to have more opening at the front as well. This whole line is just moving together. And her right side, like it happened to a lot of people, that the shoulders are uneven, is not your shoulder that's just uneven, it's the rib cage that is shifting to the right, and you're collapsing on the right side, meaning that the right feels always tight and tense. Now, of course, I make it sounds very easy, but this is one of the line I look at when we look at this function, especially on the leaning on the right side. Okay. Now, I've just shown you one fascia line. Shall I show you a few more just for you to understand a bit more? Okay. These all lines are responsible for different movements. Okay. Of course, they are all mingling, all mixing together from the left to the right. Lateral line is the one I just explained you, that allows me, if I want to stand and kick my leg back and have like a banana shape like this, that it contracts and open the other line. So this is what it does. The back line, simply, it will allow me to bend over and come back up. This is the posterior chain. This is the one we use if we need to pick up something at the front. And finally, and not finally because there are more, this one is the spiral line. And you can see the spiral line goes around the rib cage and inserts on the left around the hip. And this allows me to bring rotation of my thoracic cage to my pelvis. Okay. Now that you understand a bit more about fascia and the lines and the highways that allow us to move, let me give you another important part. Is that fascia adapts to your habits and lifestyle. Meaning that the way you sit, the way you move, breathe, and train shape these patterns over time. So, some people say, yeah, sitting is the new smoking. I'm like, yeah, okay. Well, I think I sit a lot. I think there was a study actually that had been done on a tribe in South America. They were sitting a lot as well, but they had many breaks and they were moving different afterwards. They were moving much more. So, what I want to tell you with this slide here is that fascia adapts to adapts to life. Sorry. So the position you repeat the most, the sitting, the bending, the slouching, the driving, or even more your favorite sport become your structure. For example, this swinging with always the right to the left, your body will adjust to it if you do not train anything outside golfing. Tennis, this is well known. People with using the right hand will just develop a bit more muscle. Remember that Rafael Nadal that has this massive, I think it was left or right, I don't remember, but it was clearly uneven. And I'm sure he was training in order to bring more balance. Driving, think about driving as well. I had so many clients that I brought them awareness of the way they were driving, because if you tend to drive, you'd be like leaning like this and you start driving like this. But if you stay like this driving for 45 minutes, an hour, every day, and you're not aware of it, you don't do anything to get out of this position and to bring more movement of it, then most likely the body will get used to it. The body will adjust to it. Okay. Let's look at a simple example that you will relate to of how everyday habits reshape the body without you noticing, this, and is the sitting position. Let's have a look at the sitting position to understand, because everybody talks about it. So let's talk about it. So, sitting position. On the left, it's me and Jode. I did a presentation in Bonza in Rotterdam some month ago. And what I wanted to demonstrate in this position is that when you sit down on the right side, you see this is the front line, the line that allows us to open the front and close. When you're laying down and you want to stand up, you contract this line in order to come up. Okay. When you tend to sit, this is what I marked here. This is not only here, but fascia tends to accumulate and to thicken around the front line here. So what I did with Jode on the left side, now I'm coming back here, is that I asked him to first lift his arm without me pulling or holding anything at the front and standing. He could stand. And then I asked him, after me grabbing the t-shirt at the front, meaning that the fascia was dehydrated, and I asked him afterwards to lift his arm and to try to stand up. Guess what? That he had more difficulty even grabbing just around the belly to lift his arm. Because again, remember, fascia runs through your whole body and it connects from the tip of your fingers down to your foot. So you had more difficulty. So do you imagine? Picture that. You have shoulder issue. You have pain somewhere here. Guess what the healthcare would do? They would look around here, this area. But maybe it's just you having issues around the entire area here that is pulling you down. So you constantly have to make some effort here. And then maybe the mechanic of the shoulder is just jeopardized because of the fascia being tight. This is why for me it's so important to zoom out and look at everything as a whole. What can this do as well? This is the impact that it can have with the forward head posture as well. We see that a lot. So many people have that now because of the computer, because of the mobile. This whole fascia line is compromised, it is not active, and is completely dehydrated, and is pushing everything at the front. And now let me give you a bonus on that. If your fascia is driving everything at the front, in front of you, what is paying the price in your body? The back. Your back muscles are in constant tension all the time, and they start screaming. Neck, shoulder blades, rhomboids, back, because the front is just driven, is just too tight, and gravity, daily gravity helps as well. So fascia adapts to everything we do. This, you know already, I've just explained you. Now, what should we actually do to improve it? Because you've been thinking, okay, James, you told us a lot. I understand a bit more about fascia, but what can I do? That's a great question. So what can you do for that? What can we do for that? I was looking at the comments. Thank you for the compliments on the pattern. Now we on the, so now, I think the main thing is the understanding about how the fascia works, okay? First thing is like think the body as a whole. Don't stay focused and zooming in shoulder, hip, knee, ankle. And the crazy thing is that nowadays you have specialists for everything. You have ankle specialists, you have knee specialists, you have hip specialists. Yeah, okay. But I guess if they are there, it's because the collective is wanting that. Anyway, so zoom out. Look at the body and zoom out. Restore the structure, not just the flexibility. People tend to think that being flexible, extremely flexible, will get rid of pain and will make their body more healthy. No, it doesn't work like that at all. You see a lot of videos of people going into crazy position. You don't need that to be more mobile and to feel more flexible. Okay, that's the thing. Move in ways that hydrate and reorganize your fascia, and I will come to that afterwards. So think about water. When water is, we're made of 70% of water. If this water in this glass is stagnating for 3, 4, 5, 1 week, you probably won't drink the water. Stagnating water is not very good. So imagine if your body is not moving optimally for a very long time, some parts of your body will not be hydrated and will start going, some part of your body will start dehydrating, not working properly, and create some patterns in your body. So finally, restore brain muscle connection, not with passive stretching, but with active stretching. Be aware, bring awareness to your body. Awareness is the key for change. If you're not aware, if you cannot feel anything, you won't change anything. It is as simple as that, to my opinion. Now, the good news I have for you tonight is that to support your fascia and your structure, it's actually not too difficult to start taking some steps. Okay? Here are now the daily things that make a real difference, to my opinion. Okay? Movement that restores structure and not collapse. So imagine the spine. And this is why I tell all my clients and everybody I speak to, that we talk about the body. The spine needs at least 3 crucial movements. It needs to rotate, thoracic cage on the pelvis and not moving together, but just the thoracic cage on the pelvis. It has to flex and it has to bend. Ask yourself, if you are training, am I doing this movement in my training? If you're not training, am I actually able to side bend and rotate without feeling any tension or limitation? Those are the questions I would invite you to ask yourself. Hydration, water, pinch of sea salt, just a pinch, 3-4, the size of 3-4 sesame seeds to bring a bit more the minerals up. Fruits, some fruits like watermelon, blueberries. You also have cucumber. They are rich in EZ water, and EZ water, it's pretty much it's a structured water that helps to absorb water within your body, and they have more minerals as well within them, so they're very good for you. So do that as well. Sunlight, red light for the winter as well. Red light helps as well the fascia, the fibroblasts within the fascia to produce fascia, okay? And also it helps as well to retain the water within the tissue, the red light, okay? Collagen, bone broth, beef, chicken is extremely rich in collagen. If you are vegetarian or vegan, there's also a lot of supplements for that. I myself take some supplements as well because I don't have always time to cook the bone broth. So I have also supplements in collagen. Just check it out because sometimes they contain animal trace. So that's also good also for you to know. And finally, regular myofascial release. What is myofascial release? I have a YouTube channel that I will introduce you afterwards where you use different balls, size of balls. My mom is on it all the time. I introduced her a few years ago. It took me some time for her to introduce that to her, but now she's using it and she's moving a bit more. So, of course, it's not about just releasing the balls, it's about releasing, bringing more awareness because fascia, one last thing for you, fascia has a proprioceptive factor. What is proprioception? If I ask you right now to close your eyes, and with your right hand, pinch your nose. You're going to tell me, well, that's easy. Yeah, it's easy because you know where your hand is in space and you feel your face in space. This is proprioception. And this is why having myofascial release will bring more relaxation, but also more awareness of your body. You'll be able to feel your body more into space. So, these are my daily tips, support for you to start working on yourself. You can reach me via YouTube. You can check the video on YouTube. If you type Motionline or Teen, and it's called Jane Body Therapist and Breath Coach. You can reach me on the website, motionline.nl, and on LinkedIn as well, most likely, if you probably found me on LinkedIn. Now, this is the end of this presentation. Do you guys have any questions for me? If you have some challenges or if you have maybe something which is unclear, feel free to type it in chat, type your question, and I will do my best to answer your question. And if there are no questions, we're gonna call it a day. Thank you very much for being here, following the presentation. I hope that was helpful. And if you're struggling with your body, you have some challenges and you cannot find solution, you cannot find the right answer, feel free to reach out and we'll have a chat and we'll see what we can do. Keep it up and enjoy